This is J. Krishnamurti's second public discussion in Madras, 1969 to 1970.
What shall we talk over this morning?
The other day we discussed about the fragmentation of the mind, and that when I look my mind under the microscope, I see the fragmentation. But at the same time, we discussed that part of it wants to get free, and the other part remains under the conditions. But what I find when I look at through the microscope, at one instant I see either the whole field or a particular bacteria like typhoid or something like that. Is it possible for the part of the mind to be free while the other part remain conditioned, or should not the whole mind try to be free at one time, and or the whole mind remain conditioned? Is it possible for that sort of fragmentation of the mind?
I don't know if we've understood that question. He says, can one fragment of the mind, which is supposed to be free, examine the rest of the fragments which are conditioned? Or whether the mind, the fragments must always remain conditioned and therefore accept the conditioned state. That's what more or less what is meant, wasn't it, sir?
So what I feel under the microscope, either we see the whole field or a particular bacteria at a time. So either the whole mind must get free or the whole mind must remain under condition.
That's right, same thing, sir. The complete mind must be free, or we've heard it. Do you want to discuss that? Why do we have problems at all?
Sir, it seems to me the hydrogen bomb, figuratively speaking, is less powerful and potent than the word to be. Whatever be our profession or pursuit, it dominates, it drives us always into action. Can we discuss this in detail?
What is the power more potent than the hydrogen bomb that makes us do certain things?
Individually and collectively.
Yes, individually and collectively.
In dropping an idea, there is a feeling of insecurity and fear. How are you going to tackle it?
In dropping ideals, there is fear and insecurity. Cause and effect. Can we talk about meditation? Where should one draw the line between holding on to memory, where in the technological field, and where it is not necessary, and so on? Which do you want to talk over? Meditation, fear, what makes us do things which are so contradictory in our life? Why do we have this anxiety, uncertainty, fear when we drop certain habits, especially ideals and so on? Now, which is it you want? And why do we have problems? Can we talk about why we have problems? Shall we begin with that? And widen out afterwards? Would that be valuable? I don't know, please, you toss up a coin and heads or tails. What's up? Yes, why do we have problems? Well, so you begin. Do you want to discuss that? No? Oh. Why do we have problems, sir? What's the problem? Something unresolved. Something that hasn't been cleared up. Some issue that keeps on nagging. Some action that's not complete and therefore is finished with. A desire to fulfill and the fear of not fulfilling. The fear of what has been and what might happen again. So when we talk about problems, what do we mean by that? We include all that, don't we? Right? Not only the problems in the technological field, but also problems in the psychological field. The technological problems could be solved and are solved collectively, individually, through knowledge, through information, through research, through inquiry and experimentation and so on. And there are the psychological issues which somehow dominate even the technological world and twist the technological results to suit a particular quirk or twist of a psychological nation, group, community, and so on, right? Now, why do we have problems? Why can't we live as though nothing freely? I don't know if you saw the marvel of the sunrise of this morning. The beauty of it. Why can't we live like that? Do everything we have to do, but live with that kind of movement, with that, don't let's become too romantic. So one asks, why do we live a life in which there is conflict, misery, and these innumerable accumulated problems which are never solved, with which we die? Why? Shall we go into that really? Huh? Would it interest you? We said problems are unresolved issues, unresolved desires, pursuits that bring other problems, other issues, other strains, a contradiction, a lack of fulfillment, having fulfillment, being dissatisfied with it and wanting some more. This terrible discontent, this boredom, the routine, the desire to be entertained religiously, philosophically, by the Gita classes, by this and that. Why do we live like this? War, peace, the politician and his crooked ways, the quarrels in the families. You know what one goes through life. Physical aches, illness, poverty, despair, pain, sorrow. That's all our life is. Why do we live like that? Go on, sirs. What do you say? Why do we live like that? What is our problem? He says we don't know what to do. Is that the problem? Because we don't know what to do, problems arise. Is that right, sir? We don't know what to do with a particular challenge, and we respond to that challenge inadequately, and out of that inadequate response, problem comes. Is that right? You challenge me, I have given a challenge, I don't respond to the very best that demands that challenge, and I fall short, and there is a problem. Is that clear? So we say problem exists when the response to a challenge is not adequate. And therefore, I don't know what to do. Can we go on with that? Can we ever know what to do with a challenge? You understand me? Sir, you haven't even heard what was said. There is a challenge. I don't want to give examples, just examine it generally. There is a challenge. And somehow my mind doesn't understand it, doesn't see the fullness of it, or the greatness of it, or the beauty of it, or the intricacy of it, and I respond feebly, and so I say, I don't know what to do. If I could respond fully to it, everything would be all right.
But I lack the energy to respond.
Wait, sir. We haven't even examined the question, sir. And so, when there is not proper response, I say to myself, I don't know what to do. Can I ever know what to do? Do listen to the question first. Because challenge, if it is worth it, it must be new. Otherwise it's not a challenge. Right? Be quite sure. a challenge, that is a question, a demand, a thing that comes suddenly upon you. And can you ever know how to respond to it? If it is new, can you ever know what to do with it? Now look, sir. One doesn't know what to do with war. War. Because so many things are involved in it. Economy, social chaos, significance, social morality, the morality of the community, morality of the individual, the decision whether to join or not to join, to resist, not to resist, to get killed and be killed, and so on, so on, so on. One doesn't know what to do. And you want to do something. Shall I do this or that? Which shall I be completely peaceful? That's a complete pacifist. Not take up arms, not go into the hospital, work, nothing. I won't help war at all. Is that possible? When I send a telegram or buy a stamp, I'm already in the war. I pay tax already. So what shall I do? Right? That's a problem, isn't it? Come on, sir. I'm not talking. This is not a dialogue. Two friends talking things over. What shall I do? And I feel I must take a stand, resist something. Otherwise, my life is, what's the point of living if I don't resist, act, do? And I don't know what to do. Faced with all this complex problem, right? Either I can say, the religious book says don't kill, therefore I won't kill. And there are other religious books says that kill. You know, Gita says, does it somewhere you're supposed to? Righteous war. And therefore it's by Joseph, what am I to do? Now, how will you tackle this problem? Not the war problem, but first this response which is inadequate to a challenge. And the challenge is always new. Right? Otherwise it's not a challenge. So can I ever know what to do with regard to something new? Right? The challenge is new. And if I knew how to respond to that challenge, my knowledge is already based on the past. Right? Oh, sir? Wait a bit. Why do you say challenge is new? Because wars are always with us. Right? Wars, violence, put it that way. Violence is always with us. The extreme forms and the minor forms, but it's always with us. And Why do you say that challenge is new when violence is old? Right? Sir, don't. You see, you're just theorizing, sir. Just listen quietly. If you don't, I'm not being impatient, sir. Just listen to it. He says, violence is with us always. Angry word, angry gesture, getting angry, and so on, so on. And why do you say all challenge is new when violence is old? Right? Is violence old? Answer me. Is violence old? Huh? Sir, don't put it into words here. Do have little patience, little hiatus. Wait a bit. Gentleman says, violence has always been with us. It's as old as the hills. And why do you say challenge is new when violence is always with us and therefore we can't respond to it newly? Right? Now, is violence old? Do think of, please go patiently. We say violence is old. Is it old? Or you are used to violence, the habit. You are accustomed to it. You live with it. It's your bread and butter. It happens every day. Therefore, you don't treat it as new. You treat it as something old. And therefore your response to it is always old. Right? Right? Your response to it is always old because you are used to violence. And when we say old and new, what do we mean by those two words? Just go slowly. What do we mean by those two words? Old. I was angry yesterday. That's old. And the remembrance of it, and when a new anger arises, I translate or put into words in the past. Therefore, whatever is new, I translate in terms of the past. Right? You're following all this?
Sir, why do you say new anger? When I become angry, next day it is the same. It is the anger but second time.
Which I'm doing that. We are exploring it. So watch it. You will see it. I was angry yesterday. There is remembrance of it. I'm angry today. What takes place? I recognize it as anger because I've had anger, I've been angry, and the new I translate or put into the old frame. So what is involved? I'm always translating the new in terms of the old. Right? And therefore there is nothing new about anger. You get it? Huh? Right? I don't know. You meet this? No? No. We're not talking about the cause of anger.
We are not talking about the cause of anger, but I was angry yesterday with somebody.
The-
Somebody within my family is today or she is today with me. And all of a sudden I become angry. Where is the new challenge?
I'm showing it to you, madam. I'm showing it to you. I'm angry. I was angry yesterday. I'm angry today. Why do I relate the present anger to yesterday's anger? Huh? Don't say just habits. We are exploring, we are inquiring, we are moving. Said, that's just it. That's just it. I'm sure how. Therefore, there is no new challenge ever. Right? If I'm always living in the past and always responding from the past, there is nothing new. The new is when the past is not. If we say, but one cannot possibly go to the moon, well, it's finished. But if you say, let's find out. The challenge to go to the moon is new. And if I say, well, I can't do it, I've never done it, it's impossible, it's finished. Because the challenge is new, the mind says, let's find out. Let's see if we can't invent machines and all the rest of it. So, violence is old. We have lived with it. And I'm saying to myself, is it old? Because I have lived with something, is it old? Or I am responding to the violence which I have accepted as inevitable and responding to the inevitability of violence in terms of the old. Therefore, violence is never new. I don't know. Therefore, the challenge is never new. Therefore, when I get angry, why should I relate the present to the past? Is that possible? That's where our difficulty comes in. Is this somewhat clear? Are we meeting each other?
The response that there was to my anger yesterday. My child listened to me when I got angry, and I want my child to listen to me again, and so I get angry again.
Yes, sir, but that's not the point. No, that's not. Don't take an example yet, sir. Because if you take an example, we'll go off at a tangent. We'll get into details which can be answered when you capture the general thing. When you see the whole picture, you can yourself answer the detail. We are asking, why is it that we never see the new challenge? Why do we say there is no new challenge at all in life? Now, the problem, as we said, arises when I treat violence, when I treat violence as an old habit with which I have lived for 40 years, or 90 years, or 100 years, and being accustomed to violence, there is no problem at all. It's only when I want to get rid of it, the problem arises. And I want to get rid of it in terms of my past. Right? In order not to be violent. Right? Which is the opposite of violence, which the past has created. Oh, there were the moments when you are not violent, which is so beautiful. Therefore, don't be violent. So the past again creates the challenge and responds to it according to its background. Got it? Right? Are you following this? Or is it impossible? Would somebody else explain what we've discussed just now? We are talking about problems, why they exist. They exist when I treat something new, and violence is always new. When my mind treats a challenge or a violence in terms of the old. Now the question is, can the mind look at violence as though it was the very first thing that has happened in my life? As though it was, for the first time I have discovered what it is to be violent. I don't think we do. Right, you're getting this? Sir, did you, please, sir, can you treat your anger, listen please, can you look at your anger as though you're looking at it for the first time?
How is that possible? We're all the time here burdened by the past. How is it possible?
We're going to go into it, sir. Don't be so quick. How is it possible? As though you're just swallow a pill and it's all over. I'm asking, can you look at anger as though it was for the first time you have been angry? Have you ever tried it? To look at the sunset or the sunrise as one did this morning, see it for the first time in your life. It happened this morning that way. The speaker was looking out of the window. It was early morning, and the sun was just coming up. And the wonder of it was there was no past at all, just observing. Now, can my mind look at the violence without the past? Right, sir? Can you look, wait a minute, can you look at the speaker as though you are looking at him for the first time? Listening to him for the first time in your life? Which means not comparing what he says to what you already know, comparing what he says to what Shankara, Buddha, all the rest of the people say, Gita and so on. Can you look at him, listen, as though you knew nothing, and for the first time you are discovering? Not discovering, adding, and then moving. Discovering, moving. Right? Now wait a minute. Can you look at your wife and husband as though you are looking at her for the first time? Now, that's a challenge, isn't it? Which means that's a challenge. The challenge says, can you look at your husband or wife as though for the first time? That's the challenge. Now what's your response?
Not possible without forgetting the past.
Now, you see, sir, look what you have said. Not possible without forgetting the past. So how am I to forget the past? And therefore you have a problem. Sir, please, sir, we are not talking of technological field and psychological field. You're still there and we are moved miles away. Sir, we asked a question. Can I look my wife and my friend and my so-called enemy as though it was the first time I'm looking at them? Huh? Same thing, say put it in differently. Anew. All right. Whether you are looking at your wife, husband, neighbor, your so-called friend and enemy, anew, with fresh eyes. Masters, there is a challenge to you. Right? That's a challenge. You're asked. And what's your response? Do please respond, find out, put it into words. What's your response?
I find it's possible, sir, when I love a person. In some cases.
Now, please, sir, you're not answering my question. You see, I am asking, can you look at your wife, husband, etc., afresh, anew, with eyes that have never been befogged?
Sometimes.
What is your... That's a challenge. How do you respond? You say, sometimes I respond, other times I don't. Sometimes I respond fully, other times I don't. Right? Is that possible? Sometimes to respond fully, other times partially. Is that so? Either you respond or don't respond. There is no partial response.
When I respond, that time is full, sir.
Leave it. So, look what you have said, sir. Sometimes I respond fully, at other times I do not. Therefore, I remember the full response, the beauty of it, and at other times when I do not, and I see the difference, and that creates a problem. Right? Now then, I'm asking again, will the eyes that have been burdened with so much memory, agony, pain, can it look afresh? Can it look with eyes that have never been hurt? What's your response to that challenge?
As I want to do it, I cannot do it.
So I asked, what is your response to that challenge?
I am meeting it there, that I cannot do it since I want.
No, please, sir, what is your response? Huh? No response. That is, you have no response. No, madam. No. You are missing. Huh? So, be simple about this. Somebody says to you, asks you, can you ride a bicycle? You say, I can or I can't. Huh? Wait, I'm asking you if you play violin, and you say, either I've never played, or do you say, I will try? No. For the love of it. I'm asking a question. What is the question? I forgot. No. Yeah, that's right. Yes. No, sir. I'm asking you, be simple, sir, please. You will see it for yourself in a minute if you're simple. Not say, well, what is the cause, why I must be free, why I must not be free, this, that, and the other. I'm asking you, as two friends, why don't you see with eyes that have never been hurt? That's a challenge, isn't it? He says, look with eyes that have never been challenged, never been hurt. And what do you respond instantly? The instant response, not the calculated response.
It's one of desire that it may be something wrong with it.
That's all the after effects, sir. Why? Either you say, I cannot, or I can.
This is an instant response that I gave you. When somebody says something like that, one desires and thinks it may be something.
No. The desire is something else than the instant response.
So this is something new which we have never experienced before.
You see, sir, the difficulty is you're not watching yourself, you're not looking at yourself, you're not observing what goes on. When I ask you whether you can look with eyes that have never touched pain, find out, look. Either you say, sorry, I can't do it. That's all you can say. Not why you can't desire this or that. You say, sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. That would be a straight answer. I don't know what you're talking about. My eyes have tears. I have cried. I have agony. How can you follow? So it's, I can't. I don't know what you're saying. There is the right response. That's simple, isn't it? Or am I foisting the response onto you? Huh? That's right, sir. I thought I was. So, let's be simple. Can you ride a bicycle or not? Just a question. Can you drive a car or not? Not desire. I say I can or I can't. No. You know how to, or something you don't know. Can you play the violin? Flute? Piano? You say, sorry, I can't. That's all. There is no desire, no complications, nothing involved in it.
A question like that, can you play the violin? Why don't you look at your wife that way? These things will provoke different reactions.
No. Will provoke different reaction because you want to have a different reaction. Right? You want a different reaction. That's what I'm objecting to.
I can only tell you what immediately came in the form of a desire. I cannot say what intervened between the desire and your question.
Sir, look. You asked me, can I look? I have no wife, so what shall I do? Can I look? Can I look at somebody afresh, anew, with eyes that have never been insulted? I listen to it, I listen. I don't answer. I listen to find out what it means first. The connotation of the verbal expression. The implication of all that. I listen, I try to capture the meaning of it. And I say, either I can or I cannot. And when I say I cannot, my next question is, why can't I? What has happened? Why can't I look with fresh eyes? Though they have shed tears, why can't I look with fresh eyes? You're following, sir? Why can't I look? And the challenge says to me, look with fresh eyes. And I say, I can't. Next I say, why can't I? What has happened? Why do I carry the tears with me? Huh? Why? And then you see, you've got an answer. You are not doing it, sir. You're not doing it. Please, why can't I? Why should I carry the tears of yesterday with me? Why do I have the pain of yesterday which brought tears to my eyes? Physical or psychological? Why do I carry it with me? Why can't I? Why doesn't it happen that I drop them? You follow? Drop. Why? Don't say I don't know. then you're not adequately responding. But if you're inquiring, pushing, you'll come to it. I'm asking, why can't I do this? Why do I carry this burden of 40 years of tears and pain and mischief in my eyes? Huh? Why? Why do you carry it, madam? Answer me, why do you carry it? What for?
Because the time factor is there yesterday and today.
Now, wait. Why do you carry the burden of tears? Why? That's a challenge, isn't it? Remain with that challenge, son. Remain with it. Why do you carry it? You see, you say memory, and that's finished, all right, then what? You don't hold on to it. You've already an answer. There is a challenge, which is, why do you carry your tears with you all your life? And I'm looking. I don't say memory, I'm looking. You follow, sir? I'm going to find out. Is it that I like it? Like my tears, my hurts? You understand? Some people love tears. Which means what? The mind can be occupied with something. You're following this? Do listen to it, sir. Move. Please go, let's go with her. Why do you carry the tears? If I have nothing to carry, I'm lost. Right? At least tears are something to carry. And without that, I'm lost. But if you say it's memory, then I'm finished. I'm lost. Therefore, I must be occupied. Right? Occupied with tears, with my past, with my remembrances, with my agony. Therefore, I want to carry this because I shall be unemployed. Therefore, I want something to occupy my mind. Right? Now, why does the mind crave to be occupied? Look, a bureaucrat for 40, 50, 60 years goes every morning. And on the day he resigns or whatever happens, he's let down. And he will die pretty quickly. Because all his life he has been occupied, pushing the pen around. And suddenly, he's lost. So the mind says, I don't want to be lost because that means fear, therefore let me be occupied. Therefore I carry my tears and I love my tears. Right? And why should the mind be occupied at all? Now, that's a challenge. You're following this? Why should it be occupied? And how do you respond to it? with meditation, with God, with society, with literature, with is occupied. Why? What's your response, sir? Huh? I'm asking you the question, sir. You're afraid. Why? Now you see, you have missed a whole sequence. I'm asking you a question. What was it? Why should it? Sorry, why should the mind be occupied? That's a challenge. How do you respond to it? Do I respond to it at all? Or am I inventing a response? You follow? You ask a question, why should the mind be occupied? I really don't know, but I must answer, therefore I verbalize a question, an answer, which is our memory, which is something else. Fear. Right? But is it fear that is responding to the challenge? You follow? No? And that's it. Your memory of people who remain unoccupied and gradually wither away. So your idea of living is being occupied. Follow this, sir. Yes, same thing. So, what is your response to that challenge? Why should the mind be occupied at all? Your instinctual response, not calculated, premeditated, reasoned response. Now wait, is that so? You're not answering my question, are you? You can only say, I really don't know, I never thought about this thing. Right? I don't know why it should be occupied.
That is the nature of the mind.
That's the nature of the mind. Is it? When you say it is the nature of the dog to bark, and that's the answer, there's no more further inquiry. But we are inquiring, therefore you can't say it's the nature of the mind. No. You see, so we have moved away from all that, miles away.
And then again, life is not from point to point, it's a saddle bed situation. So, I can stay.
Sir, look, sir, I'm asking you a simple question. You're going back to something. Sir, look, sir, your mind is occupied with something or other. I'm asking, why should it be occupied? Don't say why should it not, but I'm asking, why is it occupied?
It's lonely. I feel secure when I'm occupied.
Huh?
I feel secure when I'm occupied. Otherwise I am bored. To escape from problems.
Huh? You were going to find out, sir. It's quite impossible, this.
I don't see the question. I don't see. Actually, that's not the question. Then all these things are right. If I actually
Look, sir, would you mind for 2 minutes listening to the question? Give an interval. Don't answer immediately, please. I'm asking you, why is the mind, your mind, occupied all day with something or other? Why? Why is it thinking? If you are occupied with God, with the sayings of somebody, noble and so on, it is still occupied. It is that occupation with God, with the state or with bureaucracy is the same occupation as the housewife occupied with cooking. We are talking of occupation, but not the status of occupation. You follow? Oh, my. Madam, just please do listen to it. Find out your immediate response, not all the other answers. Why is your mind occupied? Huh? Is that your answer to this question? Why can't you be simple, sir? Say, I really don't know. Huh? Instead of inventing, putting in a lot of words to see perhaps your guess is as good as my guess. Why can't you say, I really don't know why it's occupied? From there we can proceed. But if you say, well, it's occupied because of desire, fear, loneliness, I'm not forcing this answer on to you. Why not? You ask me, do I know how to ski? I say I don't. Do you know how to drive? I say yes. Do you know why your mind is occupied all the time? And that's a new question. And I say, by Jove, I never even thought about it. I really don't know. Wait, you, scientific, I really don't know why my mind is occupied from morning till night. Not only the superficial mind, but the whole depth of the mind. When I go to sleep, it is occupied. Dreams. When I wake up, it's occupied. And you say, why is it occupied? The honest, immediate response would be, I really don't know. Right? Wouldn't that be, huh? What? Wait a minute, sir, just... No, I'm coming to that, sir. What are you... You see, you've moved, you see... You've moved, you say it's the brain cells that go on. All right, it goes on. Why should it go on? When you say, I don't know, which is a real, genuine response, then you say, let me look. Right? I don't know. When I'm telling you, I really don't know why your mind is occupied, then I begin to look. But if I say yes, because I'm frightened, it is this and that, then I'm not looking. Right? I really don't know why the mind is occupied. That is the adequate response to a question, to a challenge which I don't understand, which is equally important. He says, why is it occupied? I really don't know. That's my complete answer to that. I don't know. And the challenge says to me, why don't you know? Why are you waiting? Why haven't you asked this question 40 years ago? Why do you ask it now? Have been asleep. Follow it up, sir. What have you been doing with your life? You follow? So I don't know. And the challenge says, why don't you know? Why haven't you used your capacity, which you have used in technological sense? Why haven't you used that capacity to find out? Because this is much more important than your building a few railways. Why haven't you done it? Pursue the challenge, sir. You follow? Go after it. Why haven't you done it? Because I've been lazy. I'm presenting it to you now. Therefore, why hasn't it presented itself to you earlier? Huh? Why? I know. I don't know. I haven't brought anything into the mind of being still. I am just say I don't know. I don't know. I say the challenge says, why don't you know? You have lived 40 years. Why don't you know about a simple thing like that? No, you see? Why haven't you? Why? Please proceed, sir. Ask yourself. Or the challenge says, why is it occupied? You say, complete answer is, I really don't know. And the challenge says, why don't you know? You know about everything else. Why don't you know about this? And please, madam, do answer. Don't go off on side to something. You can climb the mountains, you can go to the moon, you can create children, your economy, you have done everything except this. Why? You're going to, when you say I can never know, you've stopped.
We can only repeat why.
More difficult to know about the mind than it is about other things.
We're going to answer this question. I won't leave it till I answer it. I want to find out why my mind occupied, never unoccupied. Why? And why haven't I asked this question? After 40 years of struggle, one of the primary questions I haven't even touched upon. What's the matter with me? What's the matter with my thought, with my capacity? I've got plenty of capacity. I've got plenty of energy. When I have to go to the office, that's a dreadful energy demanded. So why have I not, having energy, why haven't I asked this question? Which means what? And please, sir, don't answer me, do listen. I'm asking you now. Therefore, it's occurring to you now. No, you, sir, look, sir. Will you 2 minutes let me talk? I ask this question, why is my mind occupied? And I say to it, I really don't know. And it says to me, why don't you know? You know about so many things. Most complicated mathematical issues. You have built computers. You have done everything but this. Why haven't you done this? And it says to me, are you asleep in one direction and awake in all the other directions? Asleep inwardly and outwardly tremendously awake. Inwardly, you know nothing, but you know how to go to the moon. So the challenge says, have you looked inwardly? Right? Have you? I don't know anything about samskaras, sir. That is, you're using a lot of Sanskrit words. Samskara, probably I do know a little bit what it means, but it's irrelevant to what we are talking about. What we are talking about is, the challenge says, have you looked inwardly? You have looked at everything, the tree, the moon, the heavens, everything you have looked outwardly. Have you looked inwardly? You will say, yes, I have. Right? You have. You can't live otherwise if you haven't looked inwardly, little bit. He says, yes, I have looked. And the challenge says, how deeply? I've asked the question, look, and I've answered. How deeply have you looked? And that's a new question, new challenge. I said, I never thought about that. I thought I've looked. Now, wait, sir, next, listen carefully. How do I know, without measurement, what is depth and what is height? Right? Listen carefully. The challenge says, how deeply have you looked? And I'm hesitating. I didn't know there was depth to look or height to look. And the challenge says, when you look, are you measuring the depth and the height? Right? Are you following this? So you are measuring. Right? You are measuring depth and the height. So you say you have looked with measurement. You are following all this? Oh, come on, sir. You have looked with measurement. And it says, don't look with measurement. Which means what? No comparison. And it says, have you ever lived without comparison? Lived. Of course, you have to compare your color. We're not talking about that. Lived without any comparison at all. And my reply is, I never have. I've always compared myself with somebody else. And it says, why? Why have you compared? Go, Itza, go, reply to it. Why have you compared? Because I've been brought up on it. The more, the greater, the lesser. So it says, don't compare. If you don't compare, you're not occupied. Your scientific explanation, where are you with your scientific explanation at the end of it, sir? If you don't compare, what is the necessity for occupation? You get it? I've answered it. I've answered, the response has been adequate right along. Therefore, no problem. Right? I don't know if you see that. When I say I don't know, I really don't know. It is not a pretense. When it says, you are measuring, I say, quite right, I am measuring. And it says, live without measurement. Which means, no example. Nobody is better. I'm not that I'm better than somebody else. Nobody high or low with which I can compare myself. Therefore, comparison comes to an end. And when there is no comparison, mind is not occupied. I've answered the challenge completely. Therefore, no problem. Right? So, have you got what I said? No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. Have you lived without comparison? Not 10 years ago or yesterday. Do you live without comparison? Without measurement? The superior, the inferior, the better, greater, success and all the rest of it. No measurement at all.